Hello and welcome to another weekly update and another glorious week in the UK for weather. It's been amazing. The garden's not very happy about it, but I'm sure we'll get some rain for it soon. It's so nice that I'm doing another recording outside, but this week I haven't got my laptop with me and I haven't got any notes, so hopefully I won't forget what I want to talk about. And there's two main things I want to talk about, and then a thing for you to do at the end. So two kind of big things I want to talk about today, and the first was the news that around artificial intelligence and AI, and the fact that Microsoft have actually come out and asked government to regulate AI, which I think is really interesting. So regulation has always been a tricky issue in IT. It always amazes me in some ways that the IT industry has got to where it has got, and the power that it has, the authority it has, and there's really very little regulation. So let's say you're an accountant, you have to be a chartered accountant. That means there's a set of regulation, there's a set of rules you have to abide by, and if you don't, you're struck off. There's an authorised register of people who have demonstrated a set of skills and ability, and a commitment to working morally and for the common good. And you have to be one of those if you want to be a chartered accountant. And so in the IT world, we don't have anything like that, but you can be an IT contractor, you can go into an organisation and they'll just turn over usernames and passwords to sensitive information, to critical company infrastructure, and all these things. And it's really it's based on trust, and it's based on recommendation, and there's not, it's surprising in a way that it's very little light touch regulation. I know it just, like, the industry moves way too fast for regulators, and that's a problem. Anyway, separate to that is the whole AI thing, and I've said AI is, it's going to be huge. I mean, it already is huge, but it's going to fundamentally change how we do business, and businesses that adopt AI will have almost an unfair advantage over those that don't. It's really interesting in that context to see Microsoft, who I'd say arguably are leading in terms of commercial AI, coming out strong and saying, like, from the front, we want government to put regulation in place. Yes, as an organisation, we are going to make sure that we do the best that we can, and there've been some incidents recently where potentially and possibly Microsoft technology has been used by governments to surveil their staff, or to kind of work out staff and subjects. Microsoft are coming out and saying, like, as a company, we need to do a better job of making sure that doesn't happen, but we want governments to kind of regulate that stuff and legislate for it. And I think that's really interesting. I think it's the right thing to do. I think it's a grown-up decision by Microsoft. I think it shows Microsoft not necessarily always putting shareholder value first, but putting common good first, which is something that is massively lacking in our sector at the moment. If you look at the kind of big four companies, they're massively driven by shareholder value above everything else, it seems. So it's good to see Microsoft taking a moralistic standpoint here, and saying that for the common good, this is important. So I think that was good. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit about this week was the news from Inspire, which is the partner conference for Microsoft. News from Inspire that Microsoft are saying that Microsoft Teams has reached a feature parity with Skype for Business. Now, I don't really want to get into that, but I'm going to link to a post by Mary Jo Foley, who I think does an excellent job of taking both sides of the argument. So it takes what Microsoft are saying, takes some of the response from users, which has been a bit questioning maybe about whether how that statement stacks up with what they're seeing in their Teams clients right now, and trying to understand that disconnect. And she does a good job. She's gone back to Microsoft on numerous occasions to really clarify those words and what they mean. So it's worth reading her blog post, because what Microsoft are saying is, like, we've done all the code, we've written all the code, the work is all done. It's going to take a while to roll out. That's normal, and that happens. So I think it's good news for everyone, because everybody is going to get these things. I think as a developer, I think when they say feature parity, they probably mean kind of user-facing feature parity, not necessarily like API support and things that you can do as a developer. I think that stuff will come. I don't think it's going to be miles away, but I wouldn't expect when you hear feature parity, I wouldn't expect necessarily to think developer feature parity, but I think that will definitely come. It's only a matter of time. Teams is clearly a super important platform for Microsoft right now. It's clearly a very important strategic play for them, and so it's actually really nice to be a developer in this space at the moment, where the product you're a developer for is so strategically important to Microsoft, because what you see is pace of change is huge. If you just look at the pace of change of features from Microsoft for Teams, that pace is relentless, and it's driven by the top. It's driven by Microsoft making a strategic bet that the way Teams works is the future of how we, as people who work in organisations, will work. So this idea of collaborating together and bringing intelligence to data and information and bringing everything together in one place. Microsoft are making a strategic bet that Teams is the best way to do that. So, and they're putting a lot of effort into making that a reality. So that's really it's really good to be a developer in that space at the moment, because it keeps it very exciting. Excellent. So those are the kind of two rambly things I wanted to ramble about. The only other thing I wanted to tell you is about Evolve Conference, which is coming up soon. I want to say September the 10th. I'm saying that without notes, so probably double check the post for the URL. But that's coming up soon. Tickets are free. Thank you to the sponsors for that. That's going to be excellent. It's excellent every year. It's a very good conference, and it's not really salesy and marketing. It's quite techie. It's by techies for techies, so definitely that is worth getting in your calendar if you can possibly make it. Alright, that's everything I wanted to talk about this week. I'm off to enjoy the sun, or at least do some jobs around the garden, I think. Have a great week, and I'll speak to you again next time.